Pikmin is a near-perfect video game. I know you already gathered that from the title of this video, but I definitely had to reiterate it. I have an insane level of nostalgia for the Pikmin series, but in all honesty, I haven't played it in years. While I was completely excited knowing both Pikmin 1 and 2 were arriving to the Nintendo Switch, I kinda had my reservations. What if Pikmin 1 simply isn't as good as I remember it? What if Pikmin was just a product of its time? What if the sequels were just a lot better? What if I'm stopping myself there. Absolutely wrong. Pikmin is perfect. Pikmin is life. Pikmin is perfect. My apologies. My name is Josue, welcome to the Panic Brothers channel, and please join me as I spend the next couple of minutes simply sharing my love and nostalgia for this beautiful game called Pikmin, as well as showcasing all the reasons why Pikmin 1 is a near-perfect video game. Please do the regular YouTube things, leave a like, comment, as I start my journey replaying every single game in this series, minus that one, and giving you all my honest thoughts. I'd really love for you to come along for this ride. If you clicked on this video, then I know you know that I know what Pikmin is all about. A captain named Olimar crash lands on what is clearly a post-apocalyptic Earth and is in a pretty desperate situation. While Nintendo does what Nintendo usually does, which is give everything a beautiful aura of color and liveliness, this is actually a pretty scary situation if you really think about it. I just think of the 2015 movie The Martian, where Matt Damon is stranded on the planet Mars and has to figure out how to survive. Being completely alone in a foreign environment with little to nothing to go by, I don't know about you, but the idea of that completely frightens me. In a moment of vulnerability, I'm actually completely terrified of the deep ocean. Not necessarily because I find the ocean particularly terrifying, but more so that I don't know what's under there. So much ocean that's undiscovered, so much we have zero idea what's really there. And the little that we do know of it isn't exactly welcoming. So imagine Captain Olimar stranded in this brand new world with nothing to go by. Nothing discovered, no idea what's really out there. Nothing except for the Pikmin. Olimar throughout his time on this abandoned Earth befriends red Pikmin, yellow Pikmin, and blue Pikmin. By themselves, we see Pikmin often clueless as to what to do or how to approach their surroundings. They're often scared and lack direction when it comes to fighting off enemies. By all means, they're a predator's dream food. They stand there as they get eaten and do nothing about it. But if you give these little creatures a sense of direction, boy, they're a force to be reckoned with. However, they've never been given direction before. At least not until Captain Olimar is in the picture. It's a sort of symbiotic relationship. Captain Olimar uses the might of the many Pikmin to gather the remains of his crash-landed spaceship, while in turn, Pikmin learn how to fend for themselves against the many dangers of this world. Many Pikmin unfortunately perish during this journey, but this symbiotic relationship stands as the heart of Pikmin 1's simple narrative. Olimar has only 30 days before he runs out of breathable air, and in between every single day he writes his thoughts and adventures on a journal. Aside from that, the narrative doesn't ever get more complex than that. Olimar wrestles with his relationship with the Pikmin, missing the family that he was supposed to return to by now, and stresses over the many unknowns that this planet provides. Again, the game's narrative is simple, yet it offers so much when it comes to detailing just how drastic and serious the situation Olimar has now found himself in. So in my argument for why Pikmin is just so perfect, it's the beautifully simple yet astonishingly complex story. Throughout these 30 days, Olimar must retrieve 30 ship parts. These ship parts are scattered across multiple areas within a small region, the first of these areas being the landing site, followed by the Forest of Hope, the Forest Navel, the Distant Spring, and finally the aptly named Final Trial. Now I've noticed many tend to consider the Forest Navel their favorite in this game, and for good reason. No other game in this franchise really features an area quite like the Forest Navel. There are some caves in Pikmin 3, and the caves in Pikmin 2, don't really compare. The Forest Navel has many challenges and bosses, with my favorite being this one road off the beaten path that has so many fire geysers. However, I must say, I think I have the Forest of Hope as my favorite area. First of all, I must admit that every single area of this game is brilliantly, every area of this game is brilliantly designed. I always have trouble with my words. I mean, it wouldn't be a near perfect game if entire chunks of the game was awful, right? The impact site serves as an excellent tutorial area for the player and has many chances to breed high numbers of Pikmin. The Forest Navel offers a unique atmosphere that dials up the difficulty. The Distant Spring is a beautiful and more so challenging area that really demands everything from you and your Pikmin. And the Final Trial, while not offering that much, has a trial that tests everything you've learned from your journey thus far, and features the final boss of the game, who is not a pushover by any means. I lost 2 entire days to this guy. I freaking hate him. But once you figure out his schemes, you can quickly get the hang of it. But the Forest of Hope still is my favorite despite all the other areas it has to offer. Perhaps it's my nostalgia talking, I'll admit that, especially considering I probably played this area the most out of all the others. Lord also knows how many times I had to start new games as a kid because I just couldn't get it. But just like this game's story, I just love the simplicity of this area, plus how many firsts there are. You meet your first enemies of the game here, your first bosses, your yellow Pikmin companions, and on top of that, it requires replayability, at least on your first couple of playthroughs, as some areas and pieces aren't really accessible without the help of the blue Pikmin, which aren't unlocked until the Forest Navel. I wish I could spend an entire playthrough here, and even as I advance later in the game, I often find myself missing the forest. Missing the grass, missing the trees, the turns, and the simplicity. That's what the Forest of Hope provides for me. It's a beautiful area, and I wouldn't ask for more from a first level video game. Gameplay sees you control Olimar as you run around using the Pikmin to your advantage and fighting on your behalf, ultimately using them to pick up and find the lost pieces of the ship. I'm not going to bore you with the details considering so many other YouTubers have already covered all the finer aspects of this game, especially when you have individuals like Arlo who has made a 4-hour-long retrospective of Pikmin 1. With that said though, I know everyone who has played this game can at least agree on the idea that literally no other video game plays like Pikmin 1. Controlling an entire army all at once in real time is really unique to this franchise. But unfortunately, here lies all the reasons why this game is only near perfect as opposed to just perfect. I blame all of this on being the first of its kind, which is why I don't hold it against this game, but controlling this massive army can be so annoying at times. I absolutely hate it when I'm climbing a hill and I lose some of my Pikmin because they just can't figure out how to climb the hill. Particularly speaking about this one hill at the impact site, but the worst examples come when crossing a bridge. Red and yellow Pikmin will more often than not simply go into the water when they know they can't swim, and you will lose massive amounts of Pikmin as a result. Also, the process of throwing the right Pikmin that you need for a situation when you have multiple colors in your army is kind of a bit of a slog, and annoying to get through, especially in situations where you really need to think fast. But honestly, I believe those 2 negatives are the only real negatives to note for the game, at least personally. I know others have criticized this game on a variety of different levels, some of them being pretty valid. For one instance, blue Pikmin aren't really all that useful. I know this pretty much bothers some people, but to me, not really. What can I say? I just love these guys. I also know personal preferences can get in the way, especially knowing that not a lot of people like this 30-day time limit, but that doesn't really bother me. It used to bother me as a kid. I think it's one of the sources of my insane anxiety that I still have to this day. Thanks, Pikmin. But with that being said, the entire game can be beaten in around 6 to 7 hours. And much less than that when you know what you're doing. As a grown man with not much time on my hands, a 6 to 7 hour game is exactly what I'm looking for nowadays. But again, this short play length may not be exactly what you prefer in a game, and that's completely alright. I understand the appeal of longer games. I mean, an RPG typically needs to be longer if you want to get the most of everything it has to offer. But I don't know, this Pikmin 1 play length is exactly what I need, and gives everyone the perfect sample size of what this series and franchise has to offer. Not to mention that the game has a perfect system of replayability, where once you beat the game, you more often than not feel like you could have completed the game in a much shorter amount of days, and perhaps could potentially lose less Pikmin than what you did, because in my most recent playthrough I lost a lot of Pikmin. And in that same recent run through of the game in which you're seeing gameplay footage of, I managed to beat the game in about 19 days. Sure, that's probably what the average player goes through, but I can't help but feel like I could have done it in 14 days, maybe even 13 or 12. Then again, 19 days is still much shorter than what it took me as a kid. I was pretty stupid as a kid. And my recent playthrough was the first time I ever experienced this asshole of a secret boss that the game has. Yeah, this dude ruined everything I had going for myself. I actually hate you. I hate your mother. I hate your livelihood. I hate your existence. Regardless, Pikmin 1 is a near perfect game and it has everything you'd probably want from a short gaming experience. Kind of going off dome right now, I still think about this game as often as I can. Not even just for nostalgia, but just everything the game has to offer. I really think this is one of those games that offers a unique experience unlike anything else. Honestly, the more I think about it, I think I have this game in my top 10 of maybe all time. Not necessarily for objective reasons. I know objectively there's probably much better games out there, but something about this game just really gets to me. Now, if I was stranded on an island somewhere and I can only take 3 video games with me, I'd probably have Kingdom Hearts 2, Super Mario Sunshine, and yeah, maybe this game actually. Those first 2 games are locks though, but Pikmin, I don't know, the more I replay it, the more I just fall more and more in love with it. I just love the beautiful simplicity of this game. It's perfect. Well, near perfect. Now, I never ever played Pikmin 2, which is weird considering I actually already played Pikmin 3. So come back next time when I tackle this next game in the series that I know is probably just as controversial as the first game. My name is Josue, and thank you for listening to a grown man give his thoughts on one of his favorite video games of all time. Till next time.